Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a CDL match analysis of map 4 of the grand finals of Minor 2. LA Thieves versus Vancouver Surge on Vault Hardpoint. This was the most liked comment on my recent YouTube post, and as a result, this is the one we are going to be covering. Now, the biggest reason why it was most liked, I believe, is because it was very controversial and there were some really bizarre spawns, at least when you first looked at it. We're here to debunk that spawns and try and get to the bottom of why certain players spawn in certain areas, and hopefully for those of you who aren't necessarily followers of the CDL but are following my channel because of the ranked play content, this video is going to be directly translatable to your ranked play experience. We're going to be covering spawn logic that I haven't mentioned in any other video realistically, so yeah, you're going to be hopefully after today's video understand how to control and manipulate Vault hardpoint spawns better than you did before. At least that's the aim. You're probably wondering why, and as we go through today's video, you'll probably wonder why there's some spawns and logic I mentioned that I haven't mentioned in my previous Vault hardpoint spawn guide, and there's two main reasons for that. First of all, spawn logic has been adjusted very slightly since I have updated my spawn guide, and it hasn't been enough of a change to warrant creating a completely new video for it. And second of all, if I went into the spawn detail in as much detail as I'd like to cover 100% of all eventualities, we'd be there for 2 hours and people would not want to watch it. It'd be such a brain teaser of a video and it wouldn't be engaging. So my spawn guide that I originally put out was to hopefully cover you for 95% of situations, and it pretty much does that. So yeah, today we're going to be doing a deep dive into why certain players spawn in certain situations. So it's going to be hopefully a really gnarly breakdown, so sit back, relax and enjoy the ride. Just take a quick look at where we managed to see this result pop off. If I pause my video, I think it was pretty much a grueler of this match. Yeah, here we go. This is what it ended up looking like. Let me just hide my face for a moment. You can see it started off really strong from P1, 2, 3, and 4 for Seattle. However, Thieves brought it back on that P4, and it's a similar pattern again throughout the next set of rotations, but then they decided to break it up a little bit. I thought Thieves were going to win towards the end, but Seattle, I can't get stopped from saying it, Vancouver Surge managed to bring it back right at the very end. So let's take this back to the very start of the map and see what we can notice about the spawns. I believe Surge spawn on the good side of P1 here. I think they spawn on P2 side. And let's see what we can notice about what happens in this game. So Vancouver get a really good amount of kills. They spawn Thieves out quite considerably. What's really nice, and the reason for why Thieves didn't flip there, was because of the positions of the Seattle Surge players. They weren't Vancouver Surge players. They weren't pushed through enough to flip the spawns. And the fact that as soon as Neptune spawned in, player number 8, as soon as player number 8 spawned in, they decided to hard block in this area. And if for those of you who don't know, that is the hard block zone for P1 on Vault, and that's where you want to do. You can see how far 05 or player number 04, player number 5, a bit confusing, is pushed up, and because of where Neptune's positioned, these are spawning all the way in the depths. Okay, so this is a real strong position to be in. You've got a player who, though isn't getting kills, they are being really valuable to team in that this player can push up, cut the map off, and Thieves are spawning all the way out. Okay, and that's essentially why Thieves haven't flipped. It's because Neptune was in that very precise, bear that in mind, it's a very precise location to stop Thieves from spawning out or flipping. You can see Neptune still doing that because his team are getting continuing to get kills. Now what's interesting here is we see first player in scrap die, then hydro die. So player 1 and 2 die, 1 and then 2. At this point, both of them are waiting to respawn, and nobody on Surge's side are in the hard block position. Whilst that's happening, player number 5 is pushed through a little bit. You can see they're getting a bit over aggressive, and this is a little bit of a dangerous push because no one is hard blocking on Surge. Player number 5 could get away with this if one of these two players was literally where my cursor is. If I make this a bit bigger, if player 6 or 8 were in this zone here where my cursor is, player 5 could do this. But let's see what happens because no one is actually hard blocking. You see Scrap spawns out, then Hydra spawns out, and the whole reason for that is because no one on Surge, were hard blocking. They allowed Thieves to spawn in because they weren't in this back position next to the oil tank. And because they've spawned here, Nasty has to then spawn out. Player number 7 has to then spawn out because they can't spawn in. And these are now in that hard block position that one of these two Surge players should have been in. And Nasty spawned P4 rather than Art because player number 3 in Envoy is pushed up on the right-hand side of the map rather than the left. You could see the player of the Surge before was pushed up on the left, which spawned Thieves right. Okay, so that's how it works. If you've got someone blocking, you push left, they're going to spawn right. If you've got someone blocking, you push right, they'll spawn left. And this exactly visualizes that perfectly. So Thieves lose a few important gunfights here, and they start to decide to set up. There's 14 seconds left to the objective, and this is a point where Thieves really need to play their life. They need to make sure that they're setting up really effectively for this next hill. They know where Surge are going to be coming from. They know where Surge are going to be spawning. They should be really focusing on making sure Surge can't get past this hallway, and that's essentially what the goal should be. That's spread the map, win the gunfights. That's what Thieves need to do to make this really effective. That first blood is everything, but the fact that I think Seattle get the Surge get the next kill as well has essentially broken the setup in like completely. No matter what happens, when you give up 15 seconds of scrap time, you need to make sure you're getting the first kills to allow your team to trade the rest of the other team. And you continue with the spawn. The fact that Surge managed to break through so easy, get the first 2 bloods, just allow them to get to the new hill. Hydra spawns out because we're still on the old objective. And now we're on P2. You see how far player number 8 spawns on P2? And the reason for that is because player number 4 in Ghosty is hard blocking this back spawn. You have then player number 2 and 3 who's blocking the palm tree spawn and the middle spawn. And player number 6 isn't close enough to the objective to claw in the anchor spawn on the hill. And that's basically caused player number 8 to spawn all the way out. Okay, there are going to be some really, really intricate details coming up, so just bear with me. Because one of the players, I think player number 5, who died first? I think player number 7 died first, if I take a quick look. Nasty died first, who's player number 7. And then 04 died next, player number 5. And let's see where they spawn. If we take a look at the minimap and take extra caution, where Nasty spawns in, 04 spawns out. Probably wondering why. Let's have a look. So if we rewind this very slightly, just to this stage. So first of all, you've got player number 8 who spawned in all the way back here. And as I say, that's happened because player number 4 is blocking the back spawn. P2 is actually active at this point. Player number 2 is blocking palms. Player number 3 is blocking mid. And because of the amount of map control Thieves have got, the game is going, right, this is the safest spawn for Surge to spawn in. And that's why that's happened. Don't forget, the game looks for the safest spawn. That's the logic it follows. Now, as we move up, because of the amount of map control 6 isn't able to obtain towards this side, and the fact that player number 2 has started to come up nest, has deemed this the safest spawn. And the reason for that is because player number 6 in Abuser, sorry, it keeps going over the timeline here, but player number 6 at the Abuser here is so close to this spawn that the game has deemed that this is a safe spawn. Okay, that's why. And the fact that player number 4 is still a fair distance away from the spawn. They're not quite within this mouth yet, which is where it needs to be to block this back spawn. Player number 7's just spawned in. Okay, so I'm gonna go through that again, just so for those of you who are a little bit confused by why 7 spawned here rather than out here. What's changed? If you think to yourself, what's changed between when player number 8 spawned in and when player number 7 spawned in? The only thing that's really changed is player number 2 has moved up slightly. Player number 4 is pretty much unchanged. But the biggest thing that's happened is player number 6 has gone to recover this back spawn hill, get to this backside. And because of how the game has deemed this a safe spawn, because player number 6 has managed to get into this position behind the objective. Okay, the fact that abusers play their life so well has enabled Nasty to spawn on them. Let's see what happens next. Now, because player 4, player number 5 then spawns all the way back out over here. Okay, so again, player number 5 spawned here. Player number 4 is blocking all the way back here. You can't spawn there. Player 2, 1, and 3 are blocking the middle and palm tree spawns. So the game spawned them here. And you're probably asking, Harrz, why have they not then spawned back here? And the reason why that has happened is because the game has deemed it unsafe. And the reason why the game has deemed it unsafe is because how close player number 2 and 4 are now to this objective. Player 4 has moved 1 or 2 meters closer to this spawn, and that's all it has taken. Okay, the game has gone, okay, yes, you might have 2 teammates back here, but now you've got 2 teammates within a vicinity, 2 enemies within a vicinity of that objective. Okay, it's literally the difference of player number 4 moving closer to this spawn and player number 2 closer to this spawn has said that, okay, that spawn is no longer safe, and spawned player number 5 all the way out. And that is the logic of that. It's a little bit confusing. And as I say, that's why I didn't put it in my initial spawn guide, because it is super, super, you've got it really micro differences make these spawns happen. So I think Thieves misread that spawn. I think they read the spawn back hill. As a result, they've just unfortunately fallen. Thieves continue to spawn. One of Thieves continue to spawn in here. If I zoom in quickly. So player number 4 dies. But because no one's hard blocking this spawn for Surge, player number 2's just spawned in. Okay, and that's literally the only reason why that player spawned in. If you leave that spawn open, the enemy will spawn there. You can see 6 gets close to that spawn, and you can see from their perspective, you can see how much of this space they can see from here. This blocks that spawn, okay? They're so close to this back spawn that they are blocking it. As a result, player number 3 spawns all the way over here. Why hasn't player 3 spawned out Palm, P1, or back here? It's because of player number 5. Player number 5 and 8, actually, are pushed so far up that this is not a safe spawn, nor is Palms, nor is this. If I try and draw this quickly on a diagram here, apologies, I don't want to take too long doing this. Let's make the spawn points quickly. You've got spawn point P1, spawn point in the back, spawn point here, spawn point here, spawn point here, in that area. Now, if we flick this back to the CDL and take a look at the positions, this spawn is deemed unsafe because there's a player. I'll quickly do a drawing. There's a Thieves player. There's a Surge player right here. So that is not a safe spawn. Zoom in again. There's also a player here and a player here. Now, the reason why they haven't spawned here is because of this player, and the reason why they haven't spawned here is because of that player. Now, what you'd probably argue, why have they not spawned back Scaff? And the reason for that is because of this player has pretty much a good line of sight to that spawn. So the game's gone, okay, what's safest spawn for them? This one. And that's why Thieves are spawned all the way out. I hope that's somewhat clear, but that's essentially why they're spawned all the way in Narnia. And you can see that's spawned all of Thieves there because they haven't really moved much from that position. You see what player number 5 pushed quite far up, blocking the Palm spawn and the Scaffold spawn. You've got player number 8 who's both blocking the back spawn and the mid spawn from being in this position. But it puts them in a real good position now. Now, interestingly, as player number 2 spawns in, player 8 moves away from the back spawn block and spawns the player back P2, back here. And the reason for that is because no one's blocking this back spawn. If player number 8 had stayed here, this player number 2 would have continued to spawn out where his team were just spawning. The simple fact that Neptune just pulled slightly away from that spawn has enabled Hydra to spawn in.
Now all your bases are covered. This is where 04 can start to be the...
So 04's doing a really good job here at just as the commentator said, just drawing any attention from this hill. Hydra's managed to leak through and they didn't read that spawn. Again, Surge spawn here because Thieves aren't blocking that spawn. Keep spawning there. Keep spawning there. And what you'll notice is because as soon as number 3 gets into this hall area and looks into the spawn, player number 6 now spawns all the way out. Okay, so this player here looking into the spawn essentially. If I just turn this back a second, watch this player's movement. They're spawning in. He looks around that corner. Player number 6 spawns out. And it's the fact that they're pushed up to this hallway and they're sort of looking into this back spawn has caused player number 6 to not spawn there and spawn all the way out. Again, why have they not spawned Palms or middle? They haven't spawned Palms or middle because player number 1 is blocking Palms and these 2 players are blocking middle. Okay? And the reason they haven't spawned all the way out here is because nobody's sort of here looking at that spawn as well. So yeah. So Scrap reads that spawn. Again, then continuing not to block, which is really important here. And because of where Surge are pushed up again, you've got a player palms, you've got a player blocking the back spawn and middle. Thieves continue to spawn all the way out. And you can see this is how precise it is. Watch player number 3 spawning. So player number 3's just died. Player 1 spawned here. Player number 6 is still here. Player 6 dies and then player 3 spawns in. Now if player 6 stayed alive, player number 3 spawns in with player 1. So that it's a real millisecond difference there. But again, just pay attention to this here. Player 6 dies, and then instantly, because that instantly opens up the spawns for player number 3 of Thieves to spawn in, and that's simply because player number 6 died. It's that different.
Able to find that kill. Even though Vancouver are going to walk away with the majority of that junk, time to close that one out. LA Thieves now in the driver's seat with the rotation.
So they transition over to P3.
Finding a double is going to make this not as clean as you wanted. Now 4 comes around the backside as well. Envoy, good read, shuts down the play.
At the moment, Thieves are just trying to hold their side. You can see player number 1's hanging quite far back. But Thieves just aren't winning many gunfights right now.
15 seconds of scrap, a 50-50 hard point that stays mixy. Doesn't seem to make much of a difference. 04 now trying to...
Now you'll see how much map control Surge have got for these back spawns. If you were to say which one of these teams are closest to spawn, you would most definitely say player number 7. You can see how aggressively they're pushed up, and them being this pushed up has essentially said to the game, okay, where's the safest spawn? And you'll see where they spawn now. These spawn all the way over here. Now, that's arguably the furthest, but I think they can spawn in this corner as well. But because they don't have anyone, Thieves don't have any map control of Art, has not enabled a squad spawn. The game has gone, okay, Art is an unsafe spawn because of how close player number 7 is to this spawn. Gold spawn is, again, a little bit too close to players 6 and 8. So where's the safest spawn to spawn? Thieves all the way back out over here. And that's why that's happened. Just from Nasty pushing into Art like so. Now, you then could argue, okay, why is number 5 just spawned in? If player number 2's here, why is 5 spawned in? And the whole entire reason why 5 spawned in, we'll rewind this quickly, just so that I'm 100% in what I'm saying. Player number 7 is still here. Okay, player number 7 is anchoring the spawn close to them because player number 7 is here. If you think back to that Thieves where they spawned out initially, the reason for that was because they had no one in Art sort of close enough to this spawn. The game still determines this is safe spawn because player number 7 is still alive. What's the alternative? Okay, the alternative spawn for player number 5 is either in ammo or back spawn. And look how close player number 4 is to that spawn. This logically is a far safer spawn for 5 to spawn in because player number 7 is close to this, although there is another player there, but player number 7 here is to support this objective, to support this spawn. Whereas if 5 have spawned all the way over here, they're so close to player number 4 without any teammates there to support them. So that's why player number 5 spawned back there. The way Thieves could have mitigated that spawn is by playing out of this objective. If Thieves would have literally sat on the statue or outside this this art room, player number 5 could not have spawned there, and it would have forced them to spawn all the way out. The game would have found a corner that they weren't visible to player 4 from. But because they were so focused on getting this kill inside Art, which is an important thing to do because you want to allow your teams to get onto the hill, and Art is such a pressure point. But because player number 2 was so focused on this gunfight in Art, they've not completely hard blocked the spawn outside, which you can do just by sitting on the statue or being in the mid garden, and that had hard blocked that spawn. So yeah, and to be fair, they probably would have still spawned in here. There's a spawn next to gold here. There's a spawn literally next to Art. Sorry, this by the side door. There's a spawn here, and they probably would have spawned there because of how much map control Thieves have got of this right hand side. The game is never going to deem this right hand side spawn safe because of how close player 4 and 1 are to their spawns.
Not quite able to get the read as Hydra finds the kill, but 04 gets blessed. What kind of deity sanctioned activities have the
Now again, you'll see there's a lot of happening in Art without either team fully blocking the back spawns. What you can see, 04, player number 3 spawns out, even though Surge have got map control of this right hand side, player number 3 spawns out because 04 was looking into that middle zone that we just saw. But it's because he's not now looking at that spawn, it's not blocked. Okay, so I think player 2 just spawned in, I believe. it's just spawned in because 04 wasn't, player number 5 wasn't visually blocking that spawn. You have to, as I say, you have to hard block it. You can't sit in art with your team the other side of the map and assume the other team aren't going to spawn here. If your team are the other side of the map and you know they're spawning gold, you need to be hard blocking the spawn so that your enemies end up spawning all the way out. Let's rewind this quickly because this was caused a lot of controversy as well. So at the point, rewind this a little bit further. They get these kills, really, really good. Player number 1 hasn't spawned here, by the way. As you can see, player number 1 hasn't spawned here. They've moved to this position. Just pause this. As player 3 spawns in, number 5 is outside R, and they were sort of looking into this mid zone. Okay, that's player number 3 is not spawned in as a result of that. Now, player number 2. I need to slow this down. Give me a second. So you can see at the point player number 3 spawns in, 04 was looking into middle. Okay, and that's blocked this. That is hard blocking this spawn. Okay, you have to hard block visually, and that's why player number 3 is spawned all the way out rather than being on the objective. However, player number 2 spawns in because 04 pretty much gives up, player number 5, sorry, pretty much gives up this entire viewpoint, and then allowed Thieves to spawn in. Okay, that's why that's happened. If you want to mitigate that in ranked play, you need to make sure that you're literally hard blocking. You're sat on the statue, and you've got teammates who are making sure they can't spawn to the side of art. I think spawns from now on are pretty much straightforward. I don't want this to be a 3-hour-long video, so I'm going to skim over some things that are obvious. Harrz done a really good job there at coming back to help Ghosty, but they're losing some big gunfights here. Because of the map control they've got and because they haven't played it, like Thieves just are continuing to spawn in the back. Surge spawn at the default spawn out here, which is fine.
Starting to develop from multiple points of ingress, but LA still spawn close. Ghosty with the big first scrap following up. Just down to can they take.
Now this is a huge row of kills from Thieves. This is a perfect Thieves rotation. And it all comes from 04 not hard blocking that back statue side.
It's going to be a tie game at the end of this P4 hard point unless Vancouver want to give it one last shot. Wallbang's not going to be able to connect. But the Blues are the only one here to potentially take them off. You have the numbers to potentially trap them in towards the back, and that might be the play call right here if you're Surge. Push towards O.
Now, Surge are doing a really good job here at not pushing through the objective. At this point, you want Thieves to continue to spawn in the back because you don't want them to flip. If they flip, they pretty much spawn at the good rotation for P2 and P1. So Surge have done a really good job at leaving Thieves to spawn in the back by not putting any pressure on this back spawn whatsoever and spreading across the rest of the map. And that's essentially kept Thieves from spawning in the back.
We have the spawns for new. Let's make sure we have uncontested time here at P1. Yeah, if it's more than 5 seconds, Surge are likely going to try to hit it. That's what it feels like. The setup around P1 starts to foil just a touch, though.
When I'm watching this, by the way, I'm just focusing on this bottom left minimap. You see Thieves trying to pinch around the back, doing a really good job at trying to block the spawn. Because of their presence, they have managed to flip Surge. Thieves continue to spawn in gold because player number 5 didn't quite have control of the middle of the map, but you can see as he starts to move into the middle, player number 3 then spawned out. I'm not going to go over the same logic again, but the exact same thing happens on P1 here. Player number 5 really just needs to stay alive for Thieves to spawn out. The fact that they died has allowed the player to spawn in, and the fact that they were sort of around this area has allowed a player to spawn in gold. You need to literally be in the middle of the hall or further back to block the spawn. So Thieves are having to put a lot of emphasis on the new spawns, and because of the pressure Surge are giving on the new spawns has allowed Surge to get a lot of time on P1s. Thieves are more focused about making sure they don't flip than they are getting this current objective. Now, because player number 8 has just pushed through to the middle of hall, this has spawned the entire Thieves team out. Okay, that is a huge play.
Critical throughout again. One of those
you can see they're not actually quite sure whether they spawned in or not. So this shows you how difficult Felt is to read spawns because even the pros don't 100% understand it. So it is tricky. So if you're not understanding some of what I'm trying to get across to you, just fair. Fair enough.
5 in 15. Just cannot get any of these rotational wins. Ghosty caught a little off guard.
Okay, player number 2 spawned in because player number 8 died, who was the hard block. So because player 8 died, Thieves now spawn in. Because of the amount of control Vancouver has towards... this is an interesting... I'm going to break this down quickly. So player number 8 spawns middle, and the reason for that is because Thieves have zero control of anything but their own spawn and back spawn. Okay, as soon as this player number 2 starts to encroach over the objective, like past this line here, player number 6 starts to spawn here. So when you're in ranked play and you're defending this site, you have to be somewhat ahead of the hill to stop the enemies from spawning middle. If you're sat back here just waiting for spawns to happen and your team are all sort of back time or on the objective itself, you do need to be careful that players might spawn middle.
Towards the hallways, Nasty holding from the front, and he's done well.
Again, player number 3 and 1 continue to spawn in the back because of the lines of sights. And player number 5 spawns in middle because Thieves have no control of the front of the hill. Now that is the only spawn I have no idea what's going on. This one here. I'd love to see if any one of you guys can apply logic to this. You've got 2 Surge players alive, 1 Palms and 1 on hill. And for some reason, Envoy has spawned here rather than here. I have I've got to hold my hand up here. I have no idea why that's happened. I've asked a lot of friends about this and no one's 100% sure. But let me know if there is something that you guys notice in that. And because of that, Surge are spawning in the back now. It's really bizarre. Really, really bizarre. That's the only one I'm struggling to explain.
Now have an opportunity to trap them towards the backside for the final 20.
So yeah, you can see player number 3 spawns all the way here rather than in here or middle because of the aggression from player 5. So again, that just shows how important it is to not just settle at the hill, but also push through because it can spawn the enemies all the way out. Now, unfortunately, what happened there was player number 5, after getting these 2 kills, decided to run back to the spawn. What they should have done is to run forward into pool. That would have more likely than not spawned Thieves in the back, which is where you want them. But because player number 5 ran back to the middle of this back spawn, they've essentially allowed Thieves to continue to spawn out towards the new objective.
Look at 04 Neptune. They're already pushed through. Hydra's going to be maybe a little bit overwhelmed here. He's the only player inside the home.
That's really, really, really good aggression from Surge. So you can see Thieves are playing their life really well when the team are waiting to spawn in. Again, Thieves are so focused on making sure that Surge don't spawn behind them that they're just allowing them to get a lot of time there. They've just died. Players, again, exactly the same situation what we saw in the last P3. Someone on Surge is pushed all the way around towards Palms, close to Art. The closest player on Thieves is in near P1, and there's no one back here for Surge. So the game's gone, okay, they're not spawning out. They're going to spawn all the way out because of the aggression from player number 5 and because of the fact no one on Thieves is back here hard blocking or hard anchoring that spawn.
Thankfully, Scrap responds with a double, but look what it does to the spawns. Thankfully, the car bomb is able to take down 04, but it still doesn't matter. Vancouver.
And by that point, because of Thieves has got a considerable amount of map control to this right-hand side, because they've all just spawned there, Surge have automatically flipped, even though 04 died.
Nasty coming off spawn. Hydra pushing through P3, able to get over towards the vault stairs. LA looking good for the back.
So you can see Surge, they're completely laying off this hill. They're now deciding to cut off the map. They're saying, right, give them this 70 seconds. We've got a good lead. Let's set up at new. You can see player number 7's already sat at, I believe, probably top new. Player number 8 is cutting the middle of the map, and you've got players 6 and 5 basically playing for players from old.
20 seconds here on the 3rd hill, but Vancouver have themselves set up, ready to go for the 4th hard point. A rare moment of quiet.
So again, a really, really good setup here. Unfortunately, Hydra wins that. That's a big gunfight, but because of how tight the players are playing, it was close enough.
Vancouver get all the time here. It's basically a GG on the map. You need to find a break. You need to find it quick.
And let me just break this down. Thieves spawn in Narnia, and the reason they spawn in Narnia is because Keep pausing this. They've all spawned in when the old objective is still live. If they hold their kill cams, they will likely spawn closer. But the fact they've all spawned in without P4 even popping yet has meant they spawned all the way out because P3 was still live. So again, some really good anchoring from the teams down the bottom left, essentially making sure that this team keeps the spawn. But Thieves are winning a lot of gunfights here. This is huge. Neptune playing his life here is massive. So both teams at this point are getting parallel spawns. Let me just rewind that so I can break it down for you guys. So the first player to spawn out is player number 6, and that's happened because the amount of control number 4 has of the outside of this map. So the natural spawn is either back scaff or back garden. Back scaff is obviously blocked by player number 3, and back garden is blocked by player number 4. They then continue to aggress and win their gunfights. The game is now not going to put them in a position where they're going to be sort of outnumbered, and because the aggression of player number 1 and 3 have got on the objective, they're pushing through the hill. You can see as these players spawn in, player number 7 spawns in. Player number 3's got to the back side of the hill, essentially blocking this spawn. So this anchoring is no longer effective because player number 3 is also blocking at that point because of where they're positioned. Player 2 is obviously spawning out because of the area where player number 8 is, and that's what essentially instigates these double spawns, because you've got a player on both Thieves and Surge blocking the good spawn, causing both of the teams to spawn out. So this is really, really important, because no matter what, as long as his team are getting some kills, Thieves are always just going to continue to spawn out because this player's staying alive.
Maybe gives Vancouver a chance, but as everyone drops from the front, Neptune tries to force it and eventually falls.
You can see they eventually get the trade on Nasty, and because of the control they now have of the back region, Surge spawn pool.
Oh, this is big time right here if you are LA. You make the second break attempt count.
Again, this is where they bring it really, really close in line.
So only going to be down by 10 points as we go to the third set of hard points. Hydra trying to work something on the pinch, instantly going to get read by Nasty. 0-4 knows we still got them trapped.
So a really good setup from number 6 there, just trying to cut Thieves from their spawn. You've got player number 8 hard blocking as this player number 6 is trying to push up.
Look at the entryway here. LA just trying to force it in from the front again. Trades back and forth. Pinstripe kill feed. Ghosty. Good shots. Does he get the 1v1 versus Neptune?
Scrap spawns out because again no one on Surge was hard blocking.
Scrap quick off the respawn. No, doesn't double up, but Hydra's right there to follow through as we continue to go back and forth. Yeah, trade. Another situation. This time Hydra's able to line up a double.
Yeah, this is good gameplay from Thieves. Unfortunately, they don't have the spawns, and I think this is what they should have done perhaps on the last couple sets of P1. They put a little bit too much emphasis on P2 without getting enough time on P1.
And then we start to approach the back spawns for new. 2 kills go their way, but it's a 2-2 split, making a 3-2 split.
Because of where Hydra's position, he's pushed through the objective, not on the hill time. The game's gone, and then you've got no one on Thieves on this left-hand side. Hydra is closer to this spawn and this spawn than anyone else on Thieves is to the art spawn, so it's deemed that as the safest spawn, and that's why they're spawned there.
Vancouver is still gonna hold. LA still spawn over towards the P2 side of the map, though this is a critical moment.
So really good spawns continue. Obviously Hydra now spawns out because of where Surge are positioned, which makes complete sense.
LA trying to hold on to spawns while still battling for the hard point. Big 1v1 here. Neptune caught on the slide, and on the other side.
Yeah, and there's some really, really big kills here from Thieves. This should have been a big game. I don't think Hydra. I think Hydra second guessed his spawn read, chokes that kill, and then he just gets run down. He really needed to get that kill. That would have been huge. Again, you've now got position. Player number 8 has spawned. Player number 1 spawned here because of where player number 8. It's really important to get these spawns blocked when the enemies are spawning in, because it spawns them out. Player number 4 spawns all the way out over here because their Surge were blocking the back, and they've got someone nest, so naturally they can't spawn close or middle. So this is just the available spawn for them. Now this is an interesting bit. If 8 had got to that position a millisecond before, I am convinced he would have blocked. He'd have blocked that spawn. Let me just slow this down again. It doesn't quite get to that line of sight to have this blocked, and there's no longer a player 5 here who's sort of semi-blocking this back spawn. So this is still deemed a safe spawn for the game because this player here hasn't encroached. Now, if this player had got to this position slightly earlier, this would have not happened. You can see where player number 1 now spawns. If I let this put this to the the normal speed. See, now as player number 1 spawns out because player 8 actually managed to push through there. And now see Surge have got decent spawns. Again, they've stopped blocking. Thieves spawn in. These spawners in now cause Vancouver Surge to spawn out or in for the new hill.
You get that. Now, if you are LA, take your time. Try to find an opening kill. A Boozer strikes for the first. You already have.
Did number 5 spawn in at all? I'm just concerned what happened there. Yeah, so number 5. Yeah. So Thieves completely leave the block instantly. They don't read the spawn because at the point this guy spawns in, play number 5, there's no one in Thieves' team blocking the spawn. You can see there's no one in this area at all for Thieves. So this spawn is open because P2 is still active. They don't seem to read that spawn somehow. And they get good map position as a result.
You already have 0-4 whipping out the AR for this P3. So they can stabilize here.
So here, differences with Thieves and Surge's setup on P3. Someone on Surge is in art. Okay, they are hard anchoring this spawn and enabling their team just to spawn on them. Now, let's rewind this quickly. Hydra, you can see Hydra position in here. He starts to push through quite considerably. Player number 3 in Envoy shows the exact same aggression, and because this player here doesn't really have much control, they're sort of just hunkering in the building waiting for a challenge to come. Envoy at this point is blocking the spawn. Now, as they're blocking, you can see what. So player number 5 and 6 both spawn here because of how close Envoy is to this spawn. It's not deemed this spawn safe. Absolutely fine. And Thieves have similar to things that's happened, but on the flip side of it, Thieves have got no map control of this right-hand side massively. Player number 4 is marginally over that right-hand side, but because Surge are blocking this, because Thieves have completely left this back spawn open, and they've got no one in top gold or anything like that, and Thieves are just running all the way through the hill, Surge are now spawning out. But what happens next is when player number 1 spawns in, the game goes, okay, where can I spawn them? Well, I can't spawn them gold because of how close it's to player number 5 and 6. I'm going to spawn them here. And this safety spawn, it's like an emergency spawn. And because player number 7 isn't looking out there, they're not hard blocking on statue or anything like that, and the fact that player number 5 and 6 are blocking these back spawns, player number 1 has just had to spawn in here. That's the safest spawn for them to spawn in, okay? They can't spawn back art because player number 7's there. They can't spawn side art because player number 7's there. They can't spawn out because 5's there. They can't spawn ammo because player number these are here as well. So Scrap has spawned in the safest spawn for them to spawn in. Controversially, perhaps. Now, I do want to say some of these spawns might not seem actually logical. And you'd probably say, oh, you just spawn them out. You just spawn in P2. Surely, if you're like they're that far away, just spawn in P2. That should be like the emergency spawn there. Unfortunately, the game's just not built in that much of a logical manner, and you have to just remember these things. Okay, some really good things. Thankfully, player number 3 released that spawn quick enough to player number 7 to spawn in. You can see player number 7 is also in line of this window to his left as well, which basically blocks the outside spawn. So Scrap pulling back slightly there, and number 3 tucking in the hall has allowed player number 7 to spawn behind his team. Now you can see Scrap's position. Scrap is now in that hard block position, making sure Surge continuously spawn out. And there's a reason he's doing that. It's because it's the hard block position. This is a really good setup from Thieves.
So you're already going to send 2 players off the rotation, and this has to work now because Hydra on the other side finds 2. Everybody else.
This should be GG. If we're looking at how long's left on P3, there's 9 seconds left. They need 15 seconds left of this objective, and they're already set up on the new without being without having anyone on Surge anywhere near them. Let's see why they lose, because they do lose. Scraps on the hard block, so continue to spawn Surge all the way out, which is really, really good.
And they could do it with a breath.
Player 4 spawns out because they're still on the old objective, and because of the aggression towards this left-hand spawn Surge have, when P3 was active, player number 4 has spawned out. If player number 4 plays his life for a second or two, they'll spawn in with them. It's that simple.
No way. Scrap gets...
This is crazy. These are crazy spawns. So let me break this down quickly again. Surge are completely releasing this back spawn. They're running through, they're running through, they're running through. As player number 4 spawns in, they've got a good amount of control of this left-hand side, and the game's saying, okay, there's 3 of them here towards this spawn. There's no one back here, so this is a safer spawn for P3, because that's unfortunately where Ghosty spawns in at P3. Scrap unfortunately dies as the hard block, and because number 2 is positioned mid and player number 4 is position pool, the game has nowhere to spawn them but in the safety spawn behind the objective. No one is hard blocking to stop that spawn from happening. If they were, you could argue that this Surge player would have spawned all the way back here, but because of player number 4 and 2's positioning, they're essentially blocking the main 2 primary spawns out of the objective, and you've got no one hard blocking on Thieves, and Surge have got good control of this left-hand side of the map now. Player number 8 spawned in. All of these things happening has just caused this to happen. Player number 7 then spawns that get out again because of player number 3 pushing through. So this player number 3 was blocking the spawn for the rest of Surge to spawn in. So player 7 spawned out. And then I think now the spawns are pretty normal from here. Again, you've got player number 8 who is hard blocking. They're playing off the objective, behind the objective, making sure the Thieves can't spawn out. And they've also got no one pushed up. Otherwise, that would be what caused it.
They can win here, man. They can win here, so you have to make a couple wave of kills. And
this is really tough now. I think Thieves just needed to win a couple gunfights here. I think they got a bit annoyed as to what happened with the spawns.
One wave, and this map is yours. Nasty, holding down the angle. Neptune following up as he's found an AR to play.
Yeah, you can Surge are really good at making sure they can't flip here. It's really, really good. They're not pushing too much. They're making sure they're blocking. Good COD.
Nasty still staying safe by the trophy. Oh, 4 shuts it down inside the hard point. Last 5 seconds. The Thieves can't get out of.
And that's game. That is game. Turn this down a tad. So yeah, there were some really wacky spawns in there. Unfortunately, on this game, a lot of spawns are determined by very precise movements, especially on a map that's quite as small and somewhat open as Vault. I hope this has helped make sense of some of the spawns. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know, give me a lot of gas down below, and give me make sure you like, subscribe, and interact with this video if you want me to do more of it. At the end of the day, I'm only going to do it if you're going to want to see it. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now.